Hello, friends. The Linden Potter is right. Hello, friends. What's cooking? Let me just get my headphones on so we don't get an echo.
Are you getting an echo from me? Oops.
I usually don't, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'll do it anyway, just to
good. Also, my speakers are
make it more fluid.
out the back.
All right.
As you guys come in, just say hi. Let us know that you're here, your name, where you're from, what you're wearing.
What you wearing?
You missed it. I was like, what you're wearing? I was like,
what day of the week you think it is?
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. So if you're, just get intimate with your chat box. Should be on the right-hand side of your screen over there. Usually takes a few minutes for everyone to tumble and stumble their way in here. So for the next minute or two, just hang tight. Before every one of these calls, Ilan and I just create man down. Should have seen that. It was like, you guys can't see, but it's like
Dude.
Yeah, yeah. We're creating what we wanted to just create on this call with you guys, and we just kind of the essence of it, so to speak. And we both said fun and flow at different times, and somehow that turned into floon. So, and then Ilan applied like a Swedish accent to it. Before you know it, we're just flooning our way in here.
We were trying to figure out a way to combine the word fun and flow, and we're like, funo, and then all of a sudden it was like floon, floon. We want to have some floon.
So this is the floon webinar. Again, if you're popping in here right now, if you could just say hello in the chat box, actually, just to say hi, number one, let us know that our audio is working for you. Obviously, if it's not, then you don't know what we're saying. We're just like, yeah, like that. So, and then another great thing to share is if you've been on any of these calls with us before, we do these every 2 weeks. If you've been on these calls before, and if you're not typing in the box, we'll just assume that someone's, decapitated your hands or you've lost the ability to type, and Ilan and I will just go about our day.
It's going to be tough to have a webinar with answering questions when
there's not even
when there's no one here.
Yeah. So hopefully it's working and it's not just...
I want you to talk to me.
Yeah. Somebody will kick it off. I know they will. There's a guy named Bobby or Chris or Matt or someone. Well, okay. That's a first.
Maybe not.
All right, cool. So for those of you guys who are just getting in, hey! Woohoo! Yes! I love you so much.
Is it on that big of a delay?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't think so. All right, guys. Well, anyway, if you're just getting in here, welcome to our little Satori Prime party. Every few weeks, we run this free webinar. And this is a 60-minute shotgun approach to giving you guys an opportunity to experience what many of our students all over the world experience, which is the way that Ilan and I operate and coach and all that kind of good stuff. So if you're on here, chances are it's because you've been, on our content, or maybe you're listening to our podcasts, or you're in our personal development without the fluff group, or something like that. And you're here, and we want to give you a little context of why you're here. You may have received it in the emails. However, we do know that most people treat their inbox like a trash container these days. So what those emails said is that we're here to essentially help you with any questions that you might have relevant to the personal development space. So if you have some area of life right now that you feel stuck in, like you're not making headway, that's just been like this fucking person has been pissing me off for 30 years, like whatever it might be for you that's important. And if you could have a breakthrough in the next 55 to 60 minutes of investing your time here with Ilan and myself, that would make a really profound difference in the quality of your life. And that's what we're here to essentially part on you guys. While people are still kind of coming in and getting situated with the software, just so you guys know, if you haven't spent any time with us before, like Ange, thanks for chiming in. Ilan and I have been in the personal development space, meaning we've been working, doing our own personal work and investing in our own education of awareness for 16 years now. We are legitimate brothers, not just in the way that some people call each other brothers, by blood, same mommy, the whole thing. And that's right, mommy. I can be enlightened to say, mommy, what? Get with it. Okay, I'm done. So yeah, and our heart's work is to do transformational work with people all over the planet. We gave up some pretty hefty incomes to really just be here, share space with people, and enlighten them by doing essentially the same work that we've been, I don't want to say privileged, but we've been courageous enough to do in our lifetimes. And we have been coaches for about 10 years. We didn't know that people get paid to do this for most of that time. We legitimately did it just because we loved it and we love people. And more than anything, I love watching that look on people's faces from when that instant insight happens, and you could tell that things are just not going to be the same ever again. Ilan's going to do that for you. So how this works is you guys can drop any question that you have about that area of life in the chat box, and whoever's first, it's going to be kind of a first come, first serve type of scenario here. We usually get to about 3 questions, maybe 4 in these webinars. So if you really want us some of our feedback, then please go ahead and do that now. A little coaching on that, by the way, is to just be very, very specific with your request. Don't just say, like my relationship with my mom's not working. What do I do about it? Tell us what's going on in that relationship, so we have a little bit of background on it. The more relatedness that we have there, the more specific we can get with what we offer you as far as coaching and new perspectives, paradigms. It could be about energy. It could be about a lot of different things. This is kind of a process that gets created on its own every single time. So if you have a question, now is definitely the time to drop it in there. If it's general, we might ask you to make it more specific. Or if you don't, then we'll probably give you kind of like a general overview, and that might not be all that helpful to you. So again, specificity, please, my friends. Again, if you're just popping in here, I'm Guy, and that's Ilan over there. You have a chat box over to the right-hand side of your screen. If you're on mobile, I think it's a little bit different, probably towards the bottom. Please feel free to say hello, and then we will play you some beautiful Jeopardy music while we wait for that first question. I rearranged it. I
was going to say, it doesn't sound like Jeopardy music at all.
Well, you know what? Ever since Alex Trebek got his rid of his mustache, all rules are off.
He got rid of his mustache?
Years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Bad branding.
What are they going to do when he retires?
It's a question for another time, but Diane's got the first question in there, so let's take a look. Diane, thank you for being the courageous, beautiful soul to kick things off. I know oftentimes we're waiting for other people to chime in first, so we honor that for sure. Diane says, I'm in a dark place. I'm in a dark money place right now. Actually, let me just broadcast it so people can see this question too. Poof. I'm in a dark money place right now. Just walked away from a 6-figure client contract that was not soul aligned fit. That's amazing. Now I'm in a full scarcity mode. I know this is not the vibe I want to be in, but I feel stuck as hell and don't know what to do. Can you give us a little bit? What were you doing before? Why did you leave it? And what wasn't a fit? Any of those kind of things to fill in the blanks a little bit for us? It's the New York speed of execution in me. Got it. Perfect.
That's how she got the question in so fast.
Got it. Yeah, we know that.
Swap. Chick-chock.
Yeah.
Diane, can I just start while you're doing that? I just want to tell you how proud I am of you and how excited you should be right now, or could be right now. Not that you should be anyway, but that you could be right now if you so choose. Yeah. So why is this chat thing like? Oh, it's so annoying. Oh, there it goes. It goes away. Okay. I had like the chat piece like covering a bunch of the question. I couldn't see people's names. So we said this yesterday on a live that we were doing. Guy, you actually said this about how there's such a power to saying no and honoring your soul. Like Diane, you get that there's so many people that would have stuck it out for the money because it bought them a lifestyle, it did this, and they would just eat shit while their soul dies a little bit every single day and working with that contact or client because they felt like that's what they were supposed to do and that's what they're going to make their life this and that. It's so beautiful when someone is so in alignment that they can actually listen to that deeper part of them that says, hey, this is not in alignment. This client is not in alignment. This opportunity is not in alignment, et cetera, and actually be willing to say no. And Guy said this line that I thought was really great. What if you realize that outwardly you said no, right? Like the act that you took is I say no. In reality, though, what happened is you said yes. You said the most powerful 3-letter word. You said yes to who you are. You said yes, that I'm not willing to accept anything other than that which I fully am worthy of and deserve. You didn't let money distract you. You didn't let the glamour of, hey, I have a 6-figure client distract you. You said yes to your truest and highest self. And I can promise you, I have never, ever, ever heard anyone have a story where they took that kind of bold action and God or the universe or whatever you want to call it didn't respond with absolute abundance. Because that takes a tremendous amount of courage. I mean, tremendous. How many of you people that are on here right now can honestly say that if you had a 6-figure client that you would walk away from that? I don't know many people that would, right? Like that takes something. So I just want you to get what I get where you're at. Okay. I get where let me make this distinction for you. I get where your mind is at because your mind just got thrown into a world of complete and utter unknown and chaos. And it's like, Diane, what the fuck did you just do? Like, you just committed suicide. Like, why would you ever do that? Blah, 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 blah. Right? Loud. If you actually just put that to the side for a second and actually tuned in, and whether through meditation or anything like that, and actually listened and re-engaged with your heart and your true guidance system, I bet that thing would be singing your praises right now. I really, really do. I bet that thing right now internally is like, girl, I am so impressed with you, so proud of you, because you listened to that aspect of you. And that is just mwah. And I know that doesn't make necessarily like the darkness or the chaos go away. I also know that what you focus on is what's going to expand. So if instead of focusing on this, which creates, the Hollywood, everything's going to blow up, the world's going to open, a fire-breathing dragon's going to come and take me, and I'm going to have to live underground with all the homeless people. Like, I get, it's doing all its thing. If instead of focusing on that, you realize, yeah, that's just the mechanism, right? Like, that's just the mechanics that are happening. And yes, there's sensation in your gut because that's where all anxiety and fear comes from, obviously, right?
Wait, did you know that she just wrote that, or did you just say that?
I just read that, yeah.
Okay, I was like, wow, that's pretty on point, because I was like,
how amazing would that have been? Like, no, I didn't see that you wrote that.
Yeah, that was amazing. Okay, perfect.
If instead you shifted your focus to what I just described for you, and like actually honor and be like, wow, I'm so proud of myself that I actually listened to that deeper voice, that inner guidance. Because here's the thing that I've come to realize. Our mind is very limiting. However you slice it and whatever results you produce in your life, I promise you that if the mind produced those results, it's a limited result to what you are capable of. Your soul has a much bigger, much more amazing plan for you. Now, that doesn't always mean that it sends you like, the most pleasant of situations. Like this, for example, Diane, is something that you, as your soul, asked to go through. This right here, right now, this lesson, this experience of honoring oneself, of experiencing the fear on the other of honoring oneself, and then on the other side of this, the gold that you get to receive when you start to live from that place. So if you honored that instead and focused on that and like, wow, I did something that was super courageous, and I can honor that and stay with that and be grateful that I even had that intuition and then the follow through, your shift in energy and your shift in awareness will be massive and really, really fast.
Yep. So just to kind of highlight what Ilan started saying about something I shared yesterday, which was when we say no, people think of it as, I don't want to do that. Ultimately, though, a no is really just aligning more to what a yes is in your life. Like if you're in a relationship that's not working of any kind, whether romantic, business, or otherwise, and you say no, then you're saying yes to what comes next, which is generally speaking, in greater alignment than where you are. So I asked you about the body sensation in the gut because the different areas of the body would point to different things that you had. And you said it right on, right? Like you have anxiety. So like the gut area is fear, right? So which makes perfect sense in this situation, but it's not just fear. This is like the youngest part of our fear. This is really more and more science is proving that your stomach is like a second brain in our body, right? And it has data to send. So it's actually interacting, like your body and your mind are interacting. Most people just have a very limited, let's call it, conversation happening between the two systems. So they feel sensations that are uncomfortable in the body, and then the mind comes in and starts having opinions about it, tries to figure it out, tries to change the external circumstances, everything to protect us from this maybe sensation in the body that feels uncomfortable and we don't want to deal with. The really beautiful part about being where you are right now in your experience is that you said no to this thing that was out of alignment. That's clear, right? So now it's like, okay, I want to step into this thing, and I'm sure like the way you would prefer to step into it is with like bold, courageous, like, right? Like I'm going to fuck shit up around here and whatever it is. And then it's like the little girl gets scared, right? This thing gets activated because of what our perception is of what safety means in this world. So it's like safety like a child, right? Versus like safety like an adult. And by the way, most people in our world right now are operating at a safety like a child, not safety like an adult. So the great opportunity is that this has hit a nerve inside. Like it struck something that doesn't like to be struck. Now, if you look at other times in your life where a sensation like this has come up, perhaps when you like left a really meaningful relationship, or they left you, or maybe an important person in your life passing, or some point in time that was very challenging, maybe you felt alone, abandoned, whatever, this feeling comes up and we're not gracious with ourselves and we don't sit and allow for it to be there. We judge it, we make it wrong, and we try to change it. And in my opinion, I'm not saying that there's a right and a wrong way to do anything. From where I'm sitting today, though, this is a mistake. And more than anything, it actually will bring you back into patterns that will eventually bring about some version that's very similar to what you have right now, right? Because anytime there is anxiety, stress, or overwhelm in our system, what ends up happening is our system automatically falls back to survival patterns. These were strategies you developed as a child that were perfect for surviving whatever you were going through. But eventually you keep applying the strategy. It literally becomes a groove, like a pattern, an energy pattern in the body. And now we run that stuff like automation. And we do it over and over again. This is why people have a really tough time breaking through financial ceilings, through finding a romantic partner that doesn't look like the last one, stuff like that, the things that people complain about a lot. And the opportunity here is to actually be with this experience without trying to change it at all. Honoring where you're at and like removing the piece of you, not removing, but just like notice that there is a piece judging, and that's okay that that's there. Like not trying to get rid of that either. Notice that there's a piece of you that's scared. There's probably a piece of you that's sad, right? Like notice all those pieces are there and see if you can be with it. Because the tendency, like I said, is to avoid it and to try to change it and fix it. But then you're changing the circumstances out here so that you can feel safe again in here. The thing is, you actually haven't dealt with the fact that you just don't feel safe. So then it's just like the next thing is just waiting on the horizon to make you feel unsafe again before you have this feeling of like sadness, fear, anxiety, whatever, happens. And of course, money's like one of these things that, sometimes you have a ton of it and sometimes you have none of it. And it kind of like moves in and out. And the beautiful part is if this thing gets space for you, gets attention from you, and I'll go a little bit more into it in just a minute, it's going to have an opportunity to heal, because we can't heal what we're not willing to feel. Bottom line, you got to feel through to heal it. Basically, what is it? You got to
feel it to heal it.
You got to feel it to heal it, essentially, right? So notice the resistance come up, and here's the thing: when we go into our system and there's a sensation that comes up, because really that's what's happening. The thing that we're calling a feeling and emotion is already the judgment that your mind has about the sensation in your body, right? It's like all we have is just sensations in our body that we've now created language for, names that try to describe the sensations that we're feeling, right? The way that you experience fear and scared may not be the way that Ilan or I experience fear and scared, yet we talk about it like it's all the same thing. So the great opportunity here is to start the reprogramming process by actually loving this piece. Now, if you're sitting there going like, how am I going to love being scared? If that's too much to take on right now, like that creates anxiety, and you're like, I don't love being scared. Okay, can you love that you can't love being scared? Find the piece that you can start loving now, right? Like love, seriously, I know we say this like as a cliche thing, holds the entire universe together. It is what we are. And from this space, love is wholeness, right? Love is acceptance of all things. It's being present in a now. It's having full appreciation and acknowledgement of the universe and its perfect unfolding as it has for 13.8 billion of years of evolution without a single thought on your part. You've gotten to this place in your life, right? Through just this amazing process of evolution. We have this conversation with you in this exchange right now through 13.8 billions of years of the absolute, unfathomable number of things and events that had to occur for this moment to occur in time, right? There's a major appreciation for our ability to have this exchange. So in your mind, what ends up happening, why people get triggered with this unsafety, and by the way, I'm as guilty of it, Ilan is too, because this is all our programming, is that every time that we avoid the feeling, these sensations in our body, the signal you're essentially sending to your system is, I'm not worthy of having this experience. Well, I'm sad. I'm not worthy of my sadness. Well, I'm afraid. I'm not worthy of my fear. Let's change it, right? And what ends up happening is you keep sending signals down into your system that you're not worthy, you're not worthy, you're not worthy, you're not worthy. And then when we try to realign and make those shifts, the programming, the survival mechanism that kicks in is that of not being worthy. And suddenly our energy shifts, it closes, it contracts, and we're actually not open and available for receiving what's in the space for us to receive at that point in time. And this is, for me, like when someone gets scared like this, like, look, you've already done the hard part. You said, I'm not doing this anymore. That's the hard part, right? It's natural for those sensations now to arise in the system, and the opportunity for the level and magnitude of breakthrough that's available when you get gotten like that, to actually be with it instead of trying to change it, is what's going to ultimately make the hugest, most incredible shift in your life, not just in this situation, but in like how you approach relationships, and more importantly than anything else, how you approach your relationship with yourself. Because as we start honoring the system, what we're really saying is, I am worthy. I do love myself enough. Even in this situation, even in this sensation, I get to love and appreciate everything that's happening within me, everything that's coming into my life and unfolding. And the more you sit into that place, this thing that people call magic and coincidence, we see a direct correlation between the acceptance of sensation in the body and the quote unquote coincidental events that people start experiencing, like magical happenings, phenomenology type of thing, which is not magical or phenomenological at all. It's just what ends up happening as you feel safer and open your system. Because the more open you are, the more abundant rich you are, period. Yeah. Right?
He actually wrote, and I love this, Diane, this is so good. Yes, I can love that I have this fear of not being safe because I know it's there to protect me. And that's beautiful. Like, just love the protection, right? Love that. So something that I want to highlight that we kind of skipped in the beginning is the whole point of this, the interaction that we have here, is to introduce you guys at the end of this to our masterclass, which is a 100-day program that we take people through to really I'll walk you through the process later, but basically go from how to uncover these blocks. Like for Diane, obviously, like she's been put in this situation where the blocks, the old patterns, the old beliefs have become very evident. But there's plenty of areas in our life where they're not, right? Like we're blind to them. So how do we take ourselves from this process of uncovering these blockages, reprogramming them, and then once you create this new version of you, right? How do you then take that and put it out in there into the world? And so, Diane, what I shared with you before, just to give it a name, like to give the distinction a name, in part 3, mission 3 of the program, we discussed something called an empowering context. And what's fallen out for you right now is the empowering context. Notice how you described your situation, right? Dark, money place, etc. Woe is me. And then notice what shifted for you internally, even when I shared a different context about the same scenario. When I honored that aspect of you that was bold enough to take that action, right? Notice how that instantly, in the moment, if you actually like pay attention, had created some sort of shift, right? So that's one thing. Now, the next one that I want to share with you, and this is for all of you, is like you're at this place right now, okay, where as you go through this, you're going to start to uncover a lot more of these old programs, because whenever we were put in a stressful situation, that's what guys talking about, like that's what arises. The only way to create a new existence, right? Like having an aha moment or having a shift is wonderful. Very little is actually going to move in the world by you having an aha moment. So the other piece, like in piece 5 of the masterclass, we talk about taking massive action. And so, Diane, I totally felt a shift in my cells, as you said, be proud of what I did. See, like, and notice, that was it. How long did that take? So what if all of you, right, Diane, like I kind of created that new empowering context for you. We could do this about everything, right? For example, you know, there was a comment there about I'm a single mom. How am I going to provide for my daughter? That's one context. That's one perspective. Now, is that perspective going to empower you to take massive action? Probably not. You do this now, right? What's an empowering context that you can create around yourself and your relationship with your daughter as a mom that would actually light you up and take you into that place where you are ready to take massive action, right? That's that next piece. And one thing that I'll tell you is like, look, I don't know how many of you guys are on here right now, but if I said to any of you other than Diane, hey, how would you like to learn how to acquire a 6-figure client for the year? Would all of you like to know how to do that? Would any of you know how to do that? Probably not. So Diane, something to, you know, like when our mind goes into that whole dark world, right? It's funny how all these tools and all these skills and everything that we know to do all of a sudden goes out the window. It's like I was flying high. I bet you were when you originally, signed up that client. Then you figured something out. Then you let them go, and it's like boom, like all the stuff that you know how to do. If you got one of these clients, you can go tomorrow and get 3 more. And if maybe it's not a 6-figure client, could you go and find another 1 or 2 or 3 for $30,000 or $40,000? Like, Diane, it takes a very, and I mean very, specific energy being to attract other specific energy beings who are willing to invest $100,000 plus in themselves. That's not I have a degree on my wall. Do you want to work with me for over 100? Bullshit. Like, I know who you are just by the virtue of that. Like, that takes something. That doesn't go away because you gave up a contract. If anything, you saying no to that allows for the next even greater thing to show up in your life right now. Mm-hmm. We work with people all the time, by the way, who have this is an abundance masterclass. So obviously, like, people hear abundance, it's all around money, blah, 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 blah. Abundance, by the way, is a lot more, but let's just focus on that for a second. It's so funny. We just don't ask. We just don't go out and ask. Like, Diane, I know that if you sat down after this, while having created an empowering context, actually from that place, not from the scarcity place that you fell into, get yourself back into that state of empowerment. That client didn't find you when you were like, oh, please work with me. I need someone to work with me. Bullshit. Right? You were grounded in something. So you get yourself back into that state. And then you go out and you have conversations with people. Mm-hmm. And you know and truly feel internally that that release, we call it destruct to create. Right? You destroy something to allow for something even bigger and better to be created. That's all you did, girl. Now you just got to walk that path and trust and faith in yourself and in God or the universe, whatever you believe in, that something even bigger and better is around the corner. You know, when people break up with someone they know they're not supposed to be with that person, right? Like for whatever reason. I'm not saying like they cheated, or I'm just saying like a relationship is semi-working, but deep down their heart is like, this is not the person. It takes massive amounts of courage to leave that relationship. Because, you know, Guy's a great example. Like, on paper, he had previously a girl that everyone was like, she's fucking amazing. He even said 1 in a billion. And I agree, she is 1 in a billion. But she wasn't his 1 in a billion. And it takes something to say, you know what? No. And then honor and know that someone even better is out there for you, even though you had something great. It takes something. And it always, 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 always works, Diane. Always.
Cool. And I have just one more reminder for you, because I am getting an echo, by the way, now. So is when we're not. Yeah, we just turned down for a second. Can you just actually either mute or kill the volume while you figure it out?
I lowered the volume, but okay. I can mute too.
Yeah, I still hear myself. Yeah, just a really quick reminder. Like, one of the things that we found over the years is personal development is a lot less about discovery than it is about remembrances, right? It's like you have an experience, and then it's like it's less, when it's cerebral, it's one thing. I will call that like a stage of enlightenment that's more about growing up than waking up, personally. But when you have like a visceral, like an as felt, first person, as lived experience, everything shifts. You can't unfeel what you felt before, right? And that goes for both trauma and for enlightenment also. And trauma can oftentimes be what holds the hand of enlightenment, right? So it's like learning to ride a bicycle. I would say this, like learning to ride a bicycle. You can't learn it by understanding it. You can sit there for hours and someone can explain everything you need to know about physics and inertia and handlebars and all the rest of it. You're no closer to riding the bicycle than you were before you got all that information. So intelligence is not the way for transformation or evolving internally as a human being. So what we say is that you're not actually discovering, you're remembering. And if you think about like learning to ride a bicycle, suddenly like a frequency, like an experience went in, and it's as if you just, how did, like, from 1 second you didn't know and suddenly you just do. It's like you just kind of remembered, right? Like you dropped your keys off somewhere and you forgot where the keys were. Suddenly you find the keys and you have access to the vehicle again. So I'm saying all this because I want to remind you that life is not a linear process. There's that famous meme, like success. People think success looks like this, but it's like that. Truth is, like, life is like this. It's like organized chaos, right? And I think Ilan pointed to it. I just want to speak a little bit more to it. There's something really special about not shaming ourselves to be some way. Like, not like, oh, I'm not feeling good right now. Well, let me shame myself back into being empowered, because I remember a month ago I was empowered. Like, how do I become that way again, right? And then it's like you're trying to like shame yourself back into an experience. That's silly. That experience already happened. Now you're just attached to it. So, but those experiences, those experiences come forth when we sit in this place of alignment. And alignment doesn't mean certainty, by the way. Alignment also doesn't mean that rainbows, butterflies, and gumdrops are falling from the ceiling either. It means I'm now committed to what I'm aligned to, which for me, what you did, the action you took, was a yes to alignment. This is the alignment. So now I'm like, great. You know what comes next after that? Patience and grace. Because you've already said yes to the next thing, right? And of course the system's going to come online and be like, all the protection mechanisms, all the defenses, all the things, right? Like everything comes online. But that's because it's now looking like your mind. Notice what your mind's doing. It's looking for a linear solution. Your mind wants nothing more than give me the 3 steps that are going to get me my next 100,000 client. Give me the 3 steps, Guy and Ilan, that are going to get me out of this mode so I can get back into my alignment and do that thing. The truth is, the way into it, or the way out of it, is to go into it. Because the moment you appreciate and love and accept and surrender the experience you're in right now, you're in alignment. Because what else can you be? You're accepting the present moment. You can't change the present moment. There's no amount of worry right now that you can worry about yourself or worry about how you're going to provide for your daughter that's going to change the circumstances right now. Not possible. Worry's not going to get you there faster. And I know that you know that. And then you think about not worrying, and that makes you worry more. Right? However, if you get to sit and honor your system, and what does that mean? I mean, sitting quietly, right? And then doing like a quick scan of your body and be like, oh shit, there is a serious contraction in my stomach. I am scared. Okay, well, if I'm loving that I'm scared, right, then I'm going to go into my system. I'm going to put my awareness into this part of my system. And I'm just going to be with it. I'm going to honor that this is okay. And then I'm going to notice that the mind kicks in and the mind wants to change and manage and merge and fiddle and do all the things that the mind wants to do. And I'm going to honor that too. I'll be like, thank you for doing that, because the mind's also trying to help. It's trying to protect you, right? So when you start honoring this, you're going to feel like a completely different human being. I mean, like 20 minutes, like take after this webinar and please, please, please go sit down and just go honor the things that you're trying to avoid inside the system, right? So as you start doing this, you're going to like, there's going to be space. Something's going to move. Like even now, I'm sure you're saying like, oh my God, yes, 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 things like that, because we're naming things in your system. And when we name things in your system gets seen, which is what it wants. Your system is just like every person on the planet. It's the little girl going, I'm really scared. Can you please help me? Right? It wants attention right now. It demands attention right now. But we're like, fuck, I don't want to feel this thing. So we're like, get away from me, right? Like I got to get back to building this thing so we can be safe. Where the system is telling you what it requires right now in the present moment, which is please pay attention to me. And just like a 3-year-old girl or your daughter coming to you for assistance, you don't like kick that away and say, yo, I don't have time for you right now. Like, how does that relationship go? But we do this to ourselves all the time. We dishonor our system. You go honor your system, something's going to happen. You're going to start feeling your like click back into this alignment. And do not, please listen to me in this moment. Do not take action anywhere until you're back here in this aligned space, until you feel like you are honoring what's up. By the way, that doesn't mean that you're not scared anymore. That doesn't mean that you're not, all the things that you're experiencing right now, doesn't mean they have to go away for you to feel aligned. But here's where I started, is that this is not a linear path. When we sit in alignment, and I know you've experienced this in your life before, whether you traveled or you had some kind of intention, and then it's like the exact right person or circumstance just pops up like this, and you're like, oh my goodness, how did that happen? What a coincidence, right? I also want you to notice that idea of what a coincidence, or I can't believe that happened to me. Your energy is, because of our self-worth programming, we go, this is too good for me, I don't want it. And you send it back because literally you don't think that you can receive with that much ease. You think you have to work hard and do shit and have people love you and manipulate them into thinking certain ways so that they can see you in a certain way. But all that is coming from, I don't love myself. Not really. Because if I did, none of that stuff would even matter. You wouldn't even look for that external validation. You wouldn't look for the money as a tool for survival. You'd just be good. So when we just get into this space, right, like people get good, but they get good because their circumstances are good. And then they're like, oh my God, things are fucking cranking along, right? And they feel really good. And then more good things happen. But then that one thing happens that upsets them and it's like nosedive and everything goes to shit. And again, it's because now they're being guided like, oh, and the circumstances are good, I'm good. When they're not, they're shit. And when we get to start honoring where we're at, that alignment happens. And those kind of events where people just pop into your life, or the client just comes, or someone's like, hey, you know, my friend Diane does this thing, you should really talk to her. That's when stuff like that starts kicking into high gear. We have people come on these webinars a lot, or different events that they do with us that are struggling with money or love or relationships or any of those other things. And we have this exact conversation with them. And then they go do that thing. And we tell them, okay, great. What did you hear? What did you start feeling when you did that thing? They're like, well, I felt that I should go here. We're like, yeah, go there. They go there and that thing happens. And suddenly they've made more money in 2 weeks than they've made in 2 years, or they meet the love of their life, or there's a job opportunity. It's like most people don't have the courage to follow that thread. So it's like you've started that process now. Get complete with that process. Like I said, you have taken the hardest step, which is to say, I ain't doing that shit no more. Now it's like, can you have the patience and grace with yourself that as the system responds in its perfect way, and it is responding in its perfect way. And guys, I know everyone's mapping this onto their life, right? In whatever area you're working on, this is true for everybody. It's true for me, it's true for Ilan, it's true for everybody. You know, as the system comes online and does what it's supposed to be doing in its perfect way, notice it, and then instead of trying to change it, start, okay, this is okay. And you have enough evidence in your life, Diane, I know this, that you know you're going to be fine. You have enough evidence in your life to know that a few years from now, when you look back at this moment from where you're going to be, you're going to go, wow, thank God that that happened. I know that you know this because that's true for every person I've ever talked to when they look back at things in their life. So here's the velocity piece, is that if you bring in that feeling of appreciation and gratitude now, right, versus waiting for that thing to happen so that you can feel love and appreciation. You don't need to wait for anything to feel love and appreciation. You can sit here right now, de-story everything that you have going on and just be like, I'm just going to be in appreciation that I'm here, that I'm fucking breathing right now, that I got my daughter and this amazing life and incredible people around me. We get to start with appreciation from our first breath of the day. So when you just sit in that appreciation, that's the energy you're going to end up in anyway. Whether it's a year from now. Say again?
Can we do an exercise real quick right now?
Well, I just want to get this last piece out, and then absolutely. You're going to end up there anyway. So in this moment right here, you get to develop that feeling right now. We can all just sit here right now and just tune into appreciation and love. And just feel that, right? And then as you emanate that out, that's the stuff that people are looking at you and they go, I don't know what it is about Diane. And they come and ask you a question. They're like, what is it that you do? And they're like, well, you know, I help people with their mental and physical well-being. They're like, oh, that's really interesting. I've been thinking.
You're frozen. Can you guys hear me? Did the guy just freeze for you? I don't know if it's my end or his end. Hello? Test, test. You guys hear me? Okay, so he's frozen. Okay. All right, cool. So I'd love to do this. And Katerina, that is just, that makes me feel so good. All right, I want to do a quick exercise with you, okay? I want you to just close your eyes. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes. Close your eyes. Just relax there for a second. And just see what's present. See what's alive for you right now in your system. Is there tension anywhere? Is there something tightening? Is there something pinching? Is your head heavy? The back of your shoulders a little tight? Okay. Now, once you get that, okay, I want you to put something in mind of someone that you absolutely love and adore. Picture them right in front of you. See them smiling. You can give them a hug and a kiss. Play with their hair. and feel how grateful you are to have this person in your life right now. You can even thank them and acknowledge them for being in your life. Feel how much you love them. Now feel your body. What's alive and present for you right now? Was the tension that was there just 30 seconds ago, has some of it disappeared? The pinching or the heaviness or anything in the body, did any of that lighten? What shifted for you? That's the power of gratitude. That's the power of being just fully in the present moment. We took, no joke, that was under a minute. That was 30 seconds, 45 seconds. You can either focus on and buy into that the world is a dark, dangerous place, or that every second on this planet is a gift. Both of them are factually accurate. One will give you one context will give you one reality, and one something totally, totally different. I'd love to hear when you guys come back what that experience was like. Broski, by the way, you're here, but you're like on the mini screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna change right now.
Okay.
It's for some reason when I come back, it doesn't show up the other screen. So
yeah. So like, Diane, we spent 30 seconds, right? So here's the thing. Your frequency, this is what Katerina was talking about, right? Like her frequency aligned so much so that a person called her today and that person became a $17,000 client. The person called her. When you're in alignment, you're like a flame, and people are like moths, and moths fly to the flame. You create a beacon and people find that beacon. And that happens effortlessly and easily. The question is, what is in the way of you being in alignment to that energy? And I can promise you that when you're in a state of worry and concern and beating yourself up and shame and guilt and all that stuff, you are not attracting any of that goodness to your life. You are pushing that far, far away. When you're in a state of love, when you're in a state of peace, well-being, gratitude, that's what every soul and human being wants to be around. And these little shifts of just understanding, ooh, okay, here's where I'm at. I'm really frustrated. I'm really scared. I'm really upset. I'm really angry. Where's that? Okay, cool. How do I want to feel? Is that how I want to feel? No. Okay, how do I want to feel? I want to feel like this. Okay, cool. What do I get to create in order to do that? And then you go and take that action. Because when you're aligned to that frequency, the frequency of abundance is just a frequency. When you align to that frequency, life happens effortlessly and easily. This is the magical state of flow that everyone talks about. That's it. I'm howling right now.
So look, this is awesome. I mean, it's kind of turned into like a whole conversation versus just answering questions. And I think it's applicable to everybody, right? Like we all deal with situations that cause fear and anxiety in our system, and we have a particular way that we deal with it. And this is like the new awareness. This is the new modality a new, really awareness again that you get to start developing yourself. And if you're like, this is your first time even hearing stuff like this, know that you've been doing things, however many decades you've been doing them a certain way, and you've developed a certain pattern. And now it's like about having these insights that are like, oh, wow, I can really see how that would make a change and difference. And if you're like, I don't see how that would make a change or difference, then my offer is run an experiment. There's nothing that Ilan and I could ever say right now that would immediately and ultimately shift your life without some kind of yes action on your behalf. What did we say yes was yesterday? Do you remember?
What did we say what?
Yes was?
I said I call it the most powerful three-letter word.
Yeah, but what was the acronym?
Oh, yourself elevated or yourself?
Your elevated self. Yeah.
Your elevated self.
Yeah, that was just kind of came out during. Yeah. 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 So essentially, it's like run an experiment. And don't do like a big old one. You're like, I got to do this forever. Find one micro thing today that you're like, oh, that was interesting. Okay, I get to honor my system. I'm going to focus on that for a straight week. And here's what that looks like. We go throughout our day, right? And then something happens. Something happens that you had some kind of expectation, some rule, something that you didn't even know that you had. You subconsciously created some kind of rigid pattern in your day. And that thing breaks down and suddenly you're upset. Most people continue through their day and try to get out of the upset, right? They don't stop what they're doing. So they take that upset and now they apply that energy to the thing that they're doing next, which means sending out a bad email or having an interaction with somebody at work or love life or around their business that instead of helping, irritates and pisses off the other human being who's now throwing shade back at you, right? Because it's like, I'm upset and I want to get rid of this energy that I have in my body. So here you go. And now they're activated and they're like, well, fuck you. Here you go. Right. And it's like this game of catch with shitty energy, basically. And if you take that out into the whole world, that's essentially how we create quote unquote negative movements all over the planet. We're just sharing negativity. Right. So instead, you can have a commitment that what I stand for is that I always operate out of my alignment. So when things like that happen throughout my day, I stop everything and I don't do anything until I feel like I'm back in alignment. Because I know that the life that I want, that's around effortless, ease, pleasure, connection, love, doesn't happen when I'm in that state. How do I know that? I had a lifetime of testing that shit out. It doesn't work. And the moment I started getting committed to more being in my alignment, work became easier. Clients started falling out of God knows where. All these coincidences that people chalk up to, I don't know how that happened, started happening with regularity in my life. I have a general sense of ease and love about myself, which helps me have a sense of ease and love with the people in my life. And that doesn't mean that things are perfect. There are things in flux all the time as life has it. It's just that I've developed and trained myself to come to a place where I'm now, when it's happening, I can see the perfection in it. I can see the perfection in my reaction and my response in my sensational body and my energy body. And I can honor and say yes to all of it. Yeah, I'll be with that. Okay. Yeah, I don't love that. My mind doesn't like that. And I can still be with that. And if you run this experiment, you may find that some incredible things that most people only talk about for a lifetime, but never actually experience, actually starts happening to you. And I invite you to do that. And whether that's that or some little language thing that you picked up on today, focus on one little thing for the next week and just hyper focus on that instead of trying to make big old changes in your life. And when those little micro things become more habitual, the big macro things that you want will become inevitable. Is there anything else you want to touch upon?
No, I think this has been just amazing. We usually, it's very different than the usual where we just, have a multitude of questions, but I thought this was absolutely brilliant.
That was a cool conversation.
Yeah. This is, it's something really interesting. And I know, Katerina, you're also a coach and you do something similar. And Diane, you're clearly a coach as well. I'm curious what your take is, because I want to talk a little bit about the masterclass. I'm curious about what your take is on having coaches in your life. One of the things that we learned early on is that it doesn't, by the way, just so you guys have this as a context, Guy and I started doing personal development work in 2003. We started coaching around 2005, 2006, for free, for a long, long time for free. And we've invested over $1 million in ourselves, like personal education, right? So Katerina, 3, right? I don't care how much work I have done and how great I am at all the stuff that we shared with you, right? Like this is the stuff that we do every single day. And having a coach to reflect back certain things to you, having someone to work with that can show you your mirrors and blind spots or be your mirror to show your blind spots and hold you in this space is so incredibly powerful. There's no amount of books that you can read, and there's no amount of YouTube videos that you can watch or podcasts that you can listen to that will have you receive that kind of impact. Listen, I've tried it. I know. I tell this funny example. It's like when I started playing tennis, I was really, really broke, and I would watch YouTube videos and go out into the tennis court or against the wall and like hit and hit and hit. And the first time I went to, I actually had enough money where I went and got a tennis lesson. I was working with this guy and I was hitting a shot called the slice. And I was like just hitting balls like 15 feet in the air every single time, 15 feet in the air. And the guy calls me over to the net. He's like, hey, let me just look at your grip. And he literally, I don't know if you can see this. So this is how I was holding the racket. He moved this finger this far. That's it. And he goes, now go back and do the same exact thing. And I did it. And it was like perfect every single time. Every time. And that's when I got the power of just having someone with you and working with you that is just so, so powerful. So with that being said, we developed a process, a program that people go through called the Masterclass. It's basically made up of 7 fundamental pieces. And I want to just go through them real quick so you guys have an idea of what they are and what this process looks like. So mission 1, we talk about shoulds. This is, how everyone, we said like, stop shitting all over yourself. This is the part where you start to uncover all of your blocks, your beliefs, your stories, your theories about life, yourself, and others. Then we go on to mission 2, which talks about responsibility. And we start to remove, if you notice the work that we did with Diane today, right? She's in a place that takes her into negativity. Negativity is an energy that does not help our manifestation creation and allow us to tap into abundance. So we remove that negativity. Now she has access to something. Then in part 3, the distinction that I shared with you guys about empowering context. And this is where you start to reprogram the brain. Notice how when I reframed that story for her, instantly she said she started to feel different, like release in the body happened, all that stuff. That's the reprogramming piece. Then mission 4 is critical because that's when we actually create a feedback loop. So a lot of the times if you read a book or you watch a video or something like that and you have the aha moment, you even go to seminars. You feel really good for 2-3 days and then what? Right back to the same old things. Why? Because people don't help you create these feedback loops. A feedback loop is basically like, there's the old pattern that you've been doing for decades, right? There's like think of it like the super highway in your brain. So obviously all the energy wants to flow in there because your brain is lazy. How do you create that repetitive cycle that starts to create the new highway for you such that you can choose now to go on the new one instead of defaulting always to the old one?
Technically, your brain is efficient. It's just the most efficient way for your brain to use its energy.
Yeah, your energy is one of the smallest organs that sucks the most amount of energy from your body. So
your brain.
Shortcuts.
Your brain.
Sorry. What did I say? Your organ?
No, you said your energy is one of the smallest organs.
Oh. Floon? Are we having floon?
We haven't floon yet.
You haven't floon? Then from there, it's take massive action, right? So now we've reprogrammed, we've done all that stuff. Now you get to create that new you. And then a distinction that we absolutely love called decide versus choose. And this is where you get to choose your new life. I mean, wholly and newly, you get to choose your new life. And it's not necessarily like you choose everything that works in your life and you're like, I choose only that and not that. It's you get to choose all of it to the state of acceptance and surrender that is just so beautiful. And then from there, once you're in that state, we help you create a game plan. Basically, we call it the 90-day game plan. And this is where you just create your new life entirely. So you get from the stage of like uncover, reprogram, create who you are, and then actually create what that new version of you is going to go and be in the world and create in the world. And so the way it's delivered, it's a 7-week program that you have a training that Guy and I recorded that you watch. Then step 2 is you actually get onto a call with 2 coaches in a very, very small group. And you meet every 2 weeks to discuss the distinction that you have now been practicing for a week, right? So you learn this new distinction, you go out, you put this into practice for a week, you come a week after, you work with the coaches in the group, and they're going to help you deepen that distinction, and you're going to go out and you're going to keep practicing it. And then the last piece, we actually added a one-on-one coach component to this as well. So not only are you getting the group component, you're also going to work with a one-on-one coach as well. So those are the 3 parts. Obviously, you're in a private Facebook group with myself, my brother, all the other graduates from the masterclass, as well as all the other coaches and gurus that we have at Satori Prime. So you're fully 100% supported throughout the entire process.
We also host 3 calls. Ilan and myself will host 3 calls usually during this process. So that
in addition to these,
in addition to the calls, so that as you guys are going through there, whatever's lingering, whatever little things, because a lot of times it's like you're super clear. And it takes, like Ilan said, like that finger moving like that far. That little adjustment is the difference between a ball sailing 15 yards and hitting it right down the line every single time. So we're there to help you make those little adjustments. In fact, we just did one of those calls today. And that's just to really like hone it in, ground everything that you're learning, and really make it as applicable as humanly possible.
Yeah. So that program isn't for everyone. I'm telling you right now, like there's certain people on here that I can tell you just by the conversation and your comments that would be absolutely monumentally ready. And then there's others that I just don't know. So what we do is we have an application that you fill out. And basically in the application, what we're looking for is certain questions will be like guiding you to where you are at point A in your life right now and where is point B that you want to get to. And that gives us access to understanding like where you are and where you want to go. And then I read all of these personally and I respond to all of them personally. So I will let you know if this is the best avenue for you, the masterclass, or it's not. And if it's not, we can have a different discussion and see if there's something else that we could provide for you that would be a great option. The application for the masterclass is just $99. So Guy, just drop in the link there. I think it's satoriprime.com/masterclass. It's really, really simple. Mm-hmm. You go in there, it's $99. You fill out the application, and then within a day, I'll generally get back to you. Now, if for whatever reason you don't join the masterclass, then no harm, no foul. The $99 goes right back to you. If you do choose to join the masterclass or maybe some other program, if the masterclass is not a fit, then we'll just credit that $99 towards whatever it is that you're investing in going forward with us. So it's a really, really simple process. That way we make sure we get the right people into the right program. So the next one will be starting here in about right after Labor Day will be the next one. So there's still a few spots for that for you guys to grab. And I would just offer you this. We had this beautiful, I thought it was really beautiful conversation. I think from the reactions that you guys are responding, it was. And if something inside of you is saying, yes, this feels really good, okay? And then afterwards, there's some sort of but time, but money, but I don't know if I'm good enough, whatever the but is, right? Honor the original feeling and fill out the application. At worst, you and I get to chat. at worst. And you get to find out what could potentially be a new path for you, right? I think this. I feel this. If you want to make a shift in your life, you got to take decisive action. If you don't feel you're worth investing $99 in to find out what could potentially change your life, then that is something that you really want to take a look at. Like, truly. And I mean, whether you work with us or not. We spend $99 on going out to dinner. And like somehow justify that as a good investment, you know? And I'm a foodie, so I've spent a lot more. But like, just tune in. How much do you value yourself, and how much do you value the future that you want to create? And if you don't take any sort of decisive action, whether it's with Satori Prime or not, I'm talking more globally here right now. If you're at a place in your life where you want to make a shift and you're not willing to say yes and invest in yourself, I'm telling you right now, if what you do is watch videos on YouTube, thinking that that's somehow going to shape and turn around your life, you're basically saying to the universe, I'm not worth investing in. I'm just going to watch a bunch of free videos and hope that this whole thing turns around. How long have you been doing that? You already know the result that that produces. That's a good addition. Like, that's a good, you know, like, I'm going to go to bed and listen to something. That's great. I love that. The universe responds to bold action. That's why, Diane, I'm like, woohoo, bravo. Because I know what it takes. That's when the universe is like, yo, we got a player. Send her what she needs. But you got to be willing to say the magic three-letter word, and that is yes. Yes, I am worthy. Yes, I honor myself. Yes, I deserve this. And until you do that, no one's going to do that for you. So I love all of you. Thank you so much for being here and spending time with us. I really, really, really hope this was valuable to you and that you were able to map this conversation onto wherever it is you're at in life. And I hope to, for those of you, I know Kim's already in the program. For any of you that are not and have not, I'm excited to connect with you and read what you're up to in life and see how we can support you on this amazing journey called life.
Awesome. So for this last little bit, if you guys just want to hang out, I'll show you guys a quick video. This is people that Ilan and I got to train, really just one training. There's only so much we can do in an hour, obviously. So we want to just give you kind of like an experience of some of the shifts, the transformations and things like that that people have been able to make with just a little bit of time with us. So this will be, I think it's roughly like 8 minutes or so. You get to stay here as long as you want or check out. We just want you guys to hear from other people's mouths, so to speak. Again, if you do want to apply to our next masterclass, satoriprime.com /masterclass, and that'll take you right to the $99 checkout. So I'll play this, and if you guys have any questions while this is playing at all about anything that we talked about here, I'll be kind of hanging out in the wings, and I'll come back and see if there's anything at that point in time. All right, guys, check this out.
Something that you've taught me has really changed the relationship between me and my children, to the point where I need to give you some serious recognition for it. You suggested that we change 2 words, and they were the words have to get to. So instead of saying I have to cook dinner for my kids, or I have to play with them, or I have to take them to school, or now I have to put them to bed, I have followed your advice and changed those words from have to get to. And all of a sudden, my little human brain changes the entire energy around that task from something that feels like a chore to something that feels like a privilege. And it has actually changed the relationship with me and my kids, because not everything feels like such hard work anymore. I love them to bits, and thank you so much for making my relationship with my children so much better just from doing that one little thing.
There was something I wasn't forgiving someone about, and that someone is my father. I was holding on to something. I was holding a grudge against him. And basically, Ilan taught me that he did the best he could with the information he had, and at the time. So in my opinion, at first, I didn't see that. I couldn't see that. I just thought that he should have broke the cycle. And by me thinking that he should have broke the cycle, I was unable to see that he did the best that he could at the time with the information that he had. And by Ilan simply sharing that story with me, it gave me the ability to let go and forgive my dad. So it was a major breakthrough for me. I actually feel lighter, and I know I'm going to feel even lighter once I get to go home and speak to my father.
Since I started following you guys back in 2016, not only has that had a profound impact on my life, but almost every single person that I've shared your content with, passed it on to people from Europe, the United States, Australia, where I live, they always write back to me telling me how it's impacted their life. And it's not just in one area. It touches them in business, it touches them in their relationships, it touches them in their relationship to themselves. So I think it was just about time that I said thank you from the bottom of my heart. What you have done for me and countless others is so freaking amazing. And I know that you're going to keep doing this work for probably the rest of your lives, or definitely for the rest of your lives, because it's in your blood. And for anybody who's considering the possibility of working with Guy and Ilan, consuming some of their content, all I can say is don't even think about it. Every second you're waiting is a second that you could be nourishing your mind, enriching your soul, and actually getting your machine that is you onto a path of creating the life that you really desire. I'm not just talking about things, but I'm talking about your state of being and the actual place you exist from in your life.
I come from old school way of thinking, especially where money's concerned. And today there was a really good breakthrough through something that Ilan was teaching about the view of how we see money and how we see it in our lives. And when I first got into the business, I'm a Christian, and I got the message from the Lord that in His Word, He says, I'll give you the power to get wealth. Well, then Ilan comes in the reinforcement of that, seeing that, you know, I was raised where it's okay there's no shame in being poor. My parents came out of the Depression, and they taught us, you know, the ways of if you don't need it, don't buy it, and those kind of things held me in a trap of when it comes to money and my viewpoint of money. But that's all gone now, and I'm so grateful for the teaching that money is a byproduct. It's going to happen. It's going to happen effortlessly because of a different mindset, and that mindset is that it's not okay to be poor, but rather that money comes to me effortlessly because of the value that we're taught to give, and that because of value that'll just happen. And I'm so grateful for that, and I just wanted to give a testimony about that and say how much I appreciate that in my life. It's a life change.
One of the things that I didn't realize was just how much what goes on in my head impacts me physically. It was obvious to me that I was holding on to something, so much so that in the last 3 or 4 days, and it was all about anxiety, it was about being here, meeting people, making sure that I was learning, not being home with the people I wanted to, and all of that was putting so much pressure on me that in my neck, for 3 days, I'd wake up every morning hurting. I even took a couple of pills thinking, you know, some Advil, thinking those things would get better. And amazingly, just going through that process with you, breathing, identifying it, understanding where it came from, it's gone. It went away that fast.
I have been in personal development for many, many years, and I'm very confident to say that I know a fair amount of what to do, what not to do to get connected with people. And even though Ilan was on stage, like literally he was above the group, he managed to connect with the people in the audience. And that's a massive, massive talent of his. And he is not someone that he isn't. he talks from the heart. He listens to what his audience is saying, and he anticipated. I'm sure he had a PowerPoint presentation in his mind, but it wasn't needed because he doesn't improvise, but he just listens, like I said, and then he just tells him, and I'm sure that he just gets something from wherever, what he needs to send out. And at some points I was like, this is not him telling, this is him giving. And that was the biggest present of yesterday. And he was talking about beliefs. And throughout his session, my belief grew and increased, and that was amazing of yesterday. So
you know, when you get to that point in the day where you've been focusing so hard on what everyone's saying and you're kind of running out of energy and you're getting tired, and then Ilan comes on stage and within like 3 or 4 minutes, you're like, I'm back, I'm with this, I'm in the zone, it's all good. And so some of the stuff that he shares and the way that he talks about it on stage is so powerful, and you can't put it into words until you experience it. And the reason that I feel it's so powerful is because it's so damn authentic. He's talking purely from the heart. I mean, that's how he lives his life, that's how he runs his business. And one of the things that really made me laugh is he's saying, if my heart isn't saying fuck yeah, then it's fuck no, I'm not doing it. And I was like, yes, I resonate with that, it's fantastic. So, so much value from that, so much value from everything that he does.
How powerful our beliefs are. And when looking at our beliefs from the inside and seeing exactly what is the dialogue we have inside, what are we saying to ourselves, what are we saying to other, how that really reinforces our present reality. And I just found also when he asked people to come up and share what their inner dialogue was and what they're experiencing, especially in our online world, and his way of reframing them in order to think in a more positive way and more constructive way towards the impact they want to give and the goals they're going after, it was just gorgeous.
And especially Ilan's presentation blew my mind. Like, Ilan, he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to change my life.
Yeah.
Like, I just know it. And
it was exactly what I needed to hear, because I have been feeling this exact same way about money, struggling inside and trying to understand why it is that I feel that way. And all the takeaways and the ideas that he's given me, I know that it's only going to help me to just completely battle and overcome this problem that I've been having. So thank you so much, Ilan. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your help. Thank you for what you do, what you bring to the community.
You're absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what comes next from you, and I can't wait to watch you at the next event. Thank you so much. Words can't explain how thankful I am.
Thank you very much, and for whoever is watching this, I hope to see you on one of his calls very, very soon.
I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you do, for everyone that I know that attends your calls and your webinars, and for me personally as well. Thank you so much, my friend.
We love you very much.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Hope you got a lot of value from being here. We always enjoy being with you, sending you guys a lot of love wherever you are in the world. And until next time, we'll see you then. We look forward to connecting with those of you guys that put the application in. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.